Hi Lungile. So in this video we're gonna be diving into the rest of the topics. We're gonna start with rates and ratios. Okay. So first of all, we need to have an idea of what is a rate, what is a ratio. Okay. So the simplest definition that you can ever say, um, a ratio compares two quantities of different units. Okay. So whenever you compare two quantities, okay, quantities, it's something like time, distance, what else? Speed, such things. Those are quantities, okay? So whenever you compare two quantities, it means you use two quantities in a calculation that involves what's so called rate, okay? So rate compares two quantities. So generally, there's a most common thing that is always discussed about rates. They like to involve the topic of speed, um, what else? Time and distance. Okay, I think you're aware of this set. Okay, and distance. Okay, so they usually involve this three units. Okay, so you know that from this image you can actually work out different formulas. Okay, different formulas. For example, d is equals to speed for s times time, right? T. And you know that speed equals to distance over the time, and time is equals to the distance over, what am I saying? Time is distance over speed. Okay, over speed. So these formulas, they all come up from this diagram. So you can see that since d is on top, that's why you, to get it, you multiply the two. To get speed, you say d over t. To get time, you say d over s. Okay, distance over speed. Okay, so these are the general formulas. So whenever you get a question that involves such quantities, okay, could be other quantities, okay, but they usually use these quantities. Whenever you compare such quantities, maybe they ask you what is the distance if the speed was this over this time, things like that. It That's a concept of rate. Okay, then we have another concept to discuss, which is a ratio. Okay, a ratio compares two quantities of the same unit. So what's the different? Rate is comparing two units of different units. Unit means that this is in a time, is in seconds maybe, or hours, it depends, could be hours. Distance could be meters or it could be kilometers, it depends. Speed, it could be kilometers per hour or it could be meters per second. So these are different units. So whenever you compare different units or different quantities with different units, um, that is rate. Okay, then whenever you compare two quantities, okay, could be more actually, two or more quantities of the same units. Okay, therefore you are doing a ratio there. Okay, so there's just some worked examples to look on here. So we're gonna first check the first one, which discusses about the ratio. Okay, so here you are given a ratio of 12 is to 18. Yeah, 12 is to 18. That's our ratio given to us. So in this ratio, you gotta have to simplify it. Say simplify is the ratio. So what you should know, whenever you simplify the ratio, you should divide by a number that can divide both 12 and 18 to a simplest form. Okay, it's usually the highest common factor. So you can see here they divided by, pick a largest number possible that you can divide the two, that can divide the two to another whole number. Okay, for example, here we chose 6. So if you divide by 6 here, you will see that you're gonna have 12 divided by 6, it's gonna be 2. Then 18 divided by 6 is 3. There's no any other number that you can divide here to give another whole number. Okay, so this is our simplest form. Okay, so that's why our simplest ratio is to 3. um, Another way maybe someone could have done this, okay, if you can go to your calculator and try to punch 12 over 18. Okay, so one thing that you must know also, okay, Lungile, is that a ratio, this ratio, someone can write it in this way. You can say this is like 12 over 18. Okay, but as more like a fraction. Okay, so when you take that and write it in a calculator, just punch it in the calculator and press equals to, calculator gonna automatically simplifies this thing into a simplest fraction. Okay, then when you get this, it actually means that our simplest uh, form of this ratio is 2 is to 3. Okay, that's another way you can do it. But yeah, just this one is very easy. But then after that, you can just figure out how much did you divide 12 to get 2, and which is the same way that's how you divided 18. Okay, so but the simplest form, okay, of this 2 is to 3, because we divided by the common factor between the two. Okay, and it turn up we reach this simplest form. So that's how ratios are. Most of the times you can be asked maybe to simplify a ratio to its simplest form. Okay, so it could depend of how the question is. We're still even gonna look to other problems discussing about ratios. Okay, then let's look at this one. So here the question says convert 60 kilometers 60 kilometers per hour. Remember, per hour means that per 1 hour. It's like something per something. It means it's just 1 unit. So it's like 60 kilometers in 1 hour. Okay, that's what it means. So they want us to convert it to another unit, which is meters per second. Okay, so to convert this thing, we need to know the conversion. Okay, the conversion. What's a conversion? Conversion means you need to know how many kilometers um, do we have from meters. Okay, or how many meters that make up a kilometer, I should say. Okay, so those things you must have them in mind, so that you always find it easy to solve such problems. Okay, so there are 1000 meters, okay, to make a 1 kilometer. Okay, and there is 3600 seconds to make a minute. Sorry, to make an hour. There's 60 seconds to make a minute, so there is actually 3600 seconds to make an hour, 1 hour. Okay, so we need to know this. So if you check this 60 kilometers per hour, it's more like a fraction of 60 kilometers. I'm writing this in a different way, over 1 hour. Okay, so if you simplify this, this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna change kilometers into meters. So how can you, that means you're gonna replace this kilometer with meters. Okay, so you're gonna have 60 multiply kilometers in meters, it's like 1000. Okay, do that over, we have 1. What is an hour in seconds? It's 3600. Okay, seconds. Okay, so taking this, I'm gonna write it to this side. Taking this from this side, It means that you're gonna multiply that and you're gonna have 60,000 divided by 3,600 meters seconds, and if you divide that, it's gonna give you the same answer that is being done here. So you can see that it's very important to understand the conversions. Okay, conversions, it helps to help you change one quantity from one unit to another unit. So we changed here kilometers per hour to meters per second. So it is just a way of playing around with units. So I hope that is clear. Okay, then one thing that I want to add from the conversions that you must also keep it in mind, just in case, is that the 1000 meters per for 1 kilometer, and also there are 60 seconds that make a minute. They usually write minutes like this, a minute. Okay, so yeah, just that simple stuff. You can keep this in mind, and all maybe other conversions that maybe you can be taught in class. Okay, but these are the most common ones, especially when you deal with something like speeds, time, and distances. Okay, then carrying on, let's go to number 3. So in this question we are given that in a class, boys to girls ratio is 8 to 12. So what does it mean when it says boys to girls? It means this understanding is compared straight to how the ratio is. It means that 8 boys to 12 girls. Okay, that's what it means. So the ratio of boys to girls is 8 to 12. Simplify it in the simplest form. I think we have done something like this. If you simplify 8 to 12, it's like 2 to 3, which means that the best form of the ratio of boys to girls is like 2 boys for every 3 girls. Okay, that's what it means. Simple. Okay, let's look at this word problem number 4. Okay, so what is it saying? It says that a car travels 240 kilometers in 4 hours. What is the speed? So what we need to pick is that we have a distance here, and we have time, and we want to find the speed, and you already know the formula, right? D over time, and we're gonna just say 240 kilometers, all of that divided by the 4 hours. Okay, then you're gonna get 60 kilometers per hour. Okay, and it's been discussed here. Okay, that's how you can solve that one. Simply grabbing the formula and work it out. Okay, so let's erase a bit. Number 5. Okay, so it says divide. Now this is now a bit tricky. Okay, divide 500 in a ratio of 2 is to 3. What does this mean? Okay, it means that how can you take this 500 and distribute it, okay, to this ratio? Okay, which means if you give maybe make it, for example, 2 boys, if there are 2 boys and 3 girls, okay, how would you divide this 500 to the 2 quantities, okay, of boys and girls? Okay, so the way to do it is very simple. Okay, how would you share, or how would you divide the 500 is that you must first find the total sum of the ratio. The total sum of the ratio is 2 plus 5 plus 3, which give you 5. Okay, so that means the sum of the ratio is 5. Then how would you find how much this quantity of 2 would get? You're gonna say 2 over the total, which is 5, times 500. Okay, then you're gonna get 200. Then to get how much will the 3 quantity get, okay, you're gonna say just 3 over the total, 5 times 500, same 500, and you're gonna, this is gonna give 300. So that's how you can divide 500 to this ratio. Okay, so this is the method of doing it. So it means that for this quantity of 2 units, it's gonna get 200, and the quantity of 3 units is gonna get 300. Okay, you can see that if you can sum this, it's gonna give you 500. So it means that 500 can be divided to this ratio. It, it's gonna give you 200 and 300. Okay, so the first share is 200, second share is 300. So that's of dividing the ratio. So what you must make sure, you must, these are the basic type of questions, which means it builds your mind to be aware of what type of the problem you should expect when you have ratios and rates. Okay, so when your actually your responsibility when to check with, okay, if the question is given to you, okay, what is it related to? Is it related to the ratio? Is it related to the rate? Then how can I solve it? That's what your concern is. Okay, then you start to solve it using the method that you always know. So I hope this method is clear. Then let us shift for number 6. Okay, for number 6, a recipe needs flour and sugar. So we have a recipe that needs a flour and sugar. So we were cooking something. I don't know what we are cooking, but yeah, we are cooking something. But it needs a flour and sugar, okay, of 4:5 ratio. If 800 flour, or if 800 flour is used, how much sugar is needed? So this is a bit different. Okay, we are only told about um, flour here. I don't know if you noticed that. Okay, a ratio of 4:5 is for both sugar and flour. Okay, so 4 units is for what? It's for flour, and this is for sugar. Okay, and we are told now that if we are given 800 kg for flour is used, okay, which means if this 4 units corresponds to an 800 grams, I'm sorry for kgs, I like kgs, it's grams actually. If this 4 corresponds to 800 grams, okay, how much should we expect of the sugar? That's what the question is asking. Okay, simple. So it means that we have 4 parts or 4 units that gives us 800 grams. Okay, and you have 5 parts, okay, that we want to find. We want to know how many what's 5 units of sugar corresponds to. Okay, so the first thing that you must do, okay, Lungi, first find, you can see what you're given. You're given 4 units of flour, okay, that gives 800. You must find, if you are given such question, you must first find what will the what will 1 unit of flour be like. Okay, so it means we have a ratio now, a new ratio of what, of 4 is to 800 grams. Okay, which means this ratio is only for flour. 4 units of flour, that gives you 5 grams. Okay, then simplify this to 1 unit. So you know that you're going to divide by 4 on both sides. So when you divide by 4 on both sides, you're going to get 1 unit is to what, is to 200 grams, just like how they did here, which means from this statement is 800 grams of flour is corresponding to 4 units, right? It gives us the simplified ratio of 1 is to 200 grams. Okay, then this is gonna help you a lot. Okay, so since once you have found this tells you that actually 1 part is actually 200 grams. So to get how much of grams will sugar have, simple, you're gonna multiply this 200 to that 5 units. Okay, so you're gonna say for sugar it's 5 units, so let me multiply this 500 times what is for 1 unit. Okay, and you're gonna get um 1000, right? 1000 grams. Okay. um 1000 grams. Okay, and this 1000 grams is for sugar. Okay, so now we know that, okay, to how much of sugar it's gonna be 1000. So we're gonna solve this unknown. So the steps here is that, look what you are given. You are given the 4 units, okay, of that is for flour, and it's said to be 800 grams. What you need to do is to find how much of 1 unit can be in grams. Okay, then take that amount and multiply it to the 5 units to see how much of the sugar can it be. Right? So that's the simple way of solving it. Then let's carry on with some extra questions. Okay, I'm thinking of something here. I think these questions you might have to take them. Let me see if I have other questions. Okay, let me just say these are your challenge problems. Okay, um, these are your challenge problems. These are your challenge problems. Here's my thing. Here's my pen. This is a challenge problem. Okay, so you can just go through them. Okay, and we'll check how you work them out. Okay, it's just for the review of if ever you understood this small concept. So go to all of them, follow the steps we discussed from these two sections we covered. Then yeah, then from then we'll see if you understood. So after this video, just get to do this, just do these problems, then we'll get a chance to discuss them. Cheers.